just opened.
Mm-hmm.
And I come by there yesterday, and that place was just covered up. I was like, yeah, I'm going to see what the parking lot looks like in June.
Yeah.
Because you got a Zaxby's right here in the front, and then Planet Fitness is right behind it.
They usually say that people's gym resolutions last until about February.
Yeah, I was like, Planet Fitness is going to make all their money this month.
I haven't done a I'm going to get in shape resolution in a long time. I think you reach a certain age, and that's not.
The thing is, I'm going to get in shape. I'm like, I'm already in shape. Round. Because when I was in school, I mean, round was a shape.
Yeah. It's still a shape.
I've already got a shape. I don't need another one.
I've found out in my own life that maintaining this round shape is a lot more fun, too.
It's easier. It tastes better.
It's definitely easier. Definitely tastes better. But yeah, it was a good break. Everything has been. We just hung out really a lot. We didn't go anywhere. Over the holidays, it's my daughter's birthday, and so it's the 23rd, and so it's right before Christmas.
Well, she got shafted.
Yeah. She got shafted.
It worked out great for you guys.
Oh yeah, we can knock them both out at the same time. But it also puts a little pressure on you too, because you're competing with Christmas for a birthday, so that kind of like you have to make sure there's a difference. I guess just for her, she would never say anything, but Heather tries to make sure we go above and beyond on that and make sure it's all good. But it was fun. We went out to. Have you ever been to a Korean barbecue place where you cook your food yourself right in front of you?
Hibachi.
Hibachi is when they cook it right in front of you.
Oh, you cook your own.
This is like they bring you out a big tray of raw meat.
Why don't you just stay at home and cook?
Yeah, because it's seasoned good, and
it's
they got a bunch
cheaper.
Well, that's guaranteed. Because this was definitely not a cheap meal, but.
So it's kind of a reverse hibachi.
A reverse hibachi. Yeah, they
You cook all your stuff at the Korean place.
Except for all the sides. Like they have all the sides, all the dipping sauces, all the different stuff like that. Everything is brought out raw. Like the thin cuts of like what is like a bacon type thing, big like steak things, shrimp, all that kind of stuff. And what got us was we didn't know what we were doing. It was our first time ever there, so the guy that owned the place, I think, was trying to be our helper, and so he was just cooking, man, like cooking. As soon as we would start eating something, he would throw the next thing on there, and so we were eating food way too fast. Like it was just coming, and we were just chowing down on all this food. What you want to do is like go there when you know what you're doing and pace yourself. Like, okay, we'll cook some of this now and chill out, talk, eat some food. Okay, now let's throw something else on the little grill. That wasn't what we did. It was just like
y'all just went for it.
Yeah. Afterwards, we walked out like, I'm going to pass out here just from a meat coma. It was really good, though. It was good. So we did that, and what else did we do? We went out to a mall that's up there. When's the last time you've been to?
Up there.
Duluth is where the restaurant was. I think it's Sugarloaf.
Oh, Meatloaf Parkway.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, that's where Bass Pro is up there.
Yeah. So they're connected, basically. You can get to Bass Pro in this mall. Don't go there.
It used to be Discovery Mill. Is it still Discovery?
I think it's like Sugarloaf Mills or
it changed the name. Yeah.
Either way, I would not. This is not an advertisement for it. I would not go there. We went about 4 or 5 years ago and had a great time. It was fun. It was like a nice mall and nice stores and all this.
They used to have a Lego store in there too.
Oh, they still have that.
Because it's basically a circle. I remember walking around.
That's exactly right. So, yeah, you've definitely been there. It's not the same. All the big name stores and the nice ones are no longer there, and it's a bunch of the off-brand, I don't know.
Seen on TV stores.
Yeah, no doubt. There was an as seen on TV store there. There's a couple of other stores there.
It's like, how can y'all have a store full of garbage from China and we can't get no parts?
Yeah.
How does that work?
That's really what it was. A bunch of stuff shipped from China and all these places in these random stores with the name brands on it, but you could just tell they were just a little off. They weren't.
But we can't get no parts.
Mm-mm. And when I was at Panera Bread today, they can't get no avocados. I was trying to get a chicken.
So just run up there to Discover Meals and grab you some.
They got all of them.
It might taste a little funny.
So we had a good time though. We always go out for a birthday like that, and then we do we go to downtown? We usually go to Atlanta, and just mess around and hang out. But we didn't go for her birthday. Heather and I did go to this nice restaurant called the Iberian Pig. You ever heard of that? Been there? No. It's in Decatur, and it's like I'm going to say it's a Spanish type restaurant. But they have like the meats and the cheeses and the this and the that. I feel like it's a little frou-frou for you. Like you
probably.
Like you wouldn't dig it. But the food was good. You would probably like the food. I don't think you would enjoy the
atmosphere,
ambiance. Yeah.
Ambiance.
First of all, because the
deal is, if I'm in there and somebody walks in the door and it's like, yeah, that guy don't belong here. Is it that type of place? It's like, yeah, that guy.
Said that?
You can tell he's not from here.
Yeah. They would have came up and been like, "You're not from around here, are you?" Yeah. It would. I think it would definitely maybe have been a little bit like that, but it was good either way.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so let me start this. I already started the video, but let me start this sound. Let me get us going. All right. Welcome back, 2022.
I need to find a more comfortable way to sit.
Welcome to MZBC, the podcast for January the 5th. 5th? 2nd? 3rd, 4th, 5th. I base everything off of what was Sunday's date. I don't know if a bunch of pastors do that. They probably do. So everything in my life is like, well, what was Sunday, and count the days out. 2022 already. The years keep flying by.
22 years, yeah. Wow. It's like, yep.
I was just talking to a friend of mine earlier, and when I first moved to the Atlanta area, we lived in Bridgewater Apartments right here off of Mount Zion. And there's another person that lives there now, and she was moving, and I was thinking, man, I lived in there 21 years ago.
21 years.
Yeah,
wow.
That's crazy. That's longer than I lived where I grew up. I lived here. So does that make this home?
Have y'all just always lived right here in this area since you've been in Atlanta?
We went from right here off of Mount Zion to Terra Boulevard is the furthest we've been away, in a community over there called off of Iron Gate. You probably drove by it before. We rented a house there, and then when we found out that we were going to have Olivia, we bought a house right here in Jonesboro. So, yeah, we've never been anywhere else, and I always say that that's definitely a God thing, that we're even in this community and that we're serving at this church and that we've never left. Because when we got out of the military, we had no idea where we were moving. Heather's brother, my wife's brother, lived here, and we were like, all right, we're getting out. She got a job in Atlanta, found us an apartment. I mean, a dude could have picked anywhere. We could have lived in Duluth. We could have lived in Stone
Is that where
Mountain.
he was at?
No, he was right here.
Okay.
Like, I was just saying Duluth because I was
It
talking
was
about the
probably,
restaurant.
oh, yeah. It was probably convenient.
He was at Fort Mac. So what is that, exit off of 166
Yeah.
up there?
The 1, 2, 3, third exit.
Third, yeah. So he's
That's where Tyler Perry is now.
Is it Fort Mac or Fort
McPherson.
What's the one off of up 75, 166 that way? Fort Gillum.
No, Fort
No, Fort
Gillum's
Gillum's
off
here.
675.
Okay, so back to my original statement. I was true.
Yeah.
Fort McPherson's
Back
where
to
he
your
was.
original lie. You're right.
I was telling the truth. And so we drive from Texas because that's where we were stationed in the Army. And I remember coming down I-20 east because we were coming from the west, obviously. And you see Atlanta. If you've ever driven on I-20 east, you see the city.
When you
and I was
get
like, whoa.
By
Six Flags.
Yeah,
and-
Six Flags, and you're at the top of the hill, and you could just see all the smog. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
this is going to be fun.
Absolutely. I didn't hear what you just said about the smog, but I really did have that thought. I was like, oh, this is going to be awesome. Look at this big city we're going to live in. And then as you come 20, you hit 75 south. And I remember we just kept getting further.
It's like, why is the city in the rearview mirror
It's
now?
getting smaller and smaller. And then they're like, oh, yeah, you're not like, we're not living in Atlanta. We're living in this little town called Jonesboro. And I was like, where are we? But I remember we came from Killeen, Texas. which Killeen, Texas is 95% Army people and nothing else. And so there were no big stores. There was Applebee's and Chili's, and there was nothing nice. And I remember this strip right here on Mount Zion Boulevard feeling like it was the mecca of everything. I mean, there was a Circuit City, there was a Smoky Bones barbecue.
You remember the Media Play?
Media Play.
It was right over here in Home Depot.
No.
Plaza.
Okay. No.
It was like a Best Buy.
Like a Best Buy, yeah. So we thought that this street had everything, and so we were like, oh, cool. He picked a great apartment right here. And we did like the apartment. The complex was nice. Our neighbors, we never met them. I mean, you're young, like 22, 23 years old. You don't meet neighbors. You just live your life. So my car got stolen out of that Bridgewater place and found totaled, so that wasn't awesome. But other than that, that's how we ended up here. And yeah, so I think it's a God story because we could have been anywhere. And I always think that they say, well, they don't say, but the scripture says, God ordains your steps, and he knew everything about you. He counts the numbers of hairs on your head and all these things. And when I think about my life and ending up here, I feel like that solidifies that to an extent for me on those days where I just question what I'm doing or where we're doing it or the struggles that we may face because we're doing it here. I just think about God perfectly ordaining all those things to happen. I mean, just the way my wife and I met. I mean, she's from Illinois. I'm from Florida, Alabama. Pensacola is basically Floribama. And then we both end up way out west in Texas serving in the military. And somehow she fell for me, and we got married and ended up in Atlanta.
Must have had a lot of dirt in her eyes or something
Yes.
that day. Dust NATOs, dirt. What do they call them? Dirt devils or something like that.
Yeah, maybe. I remember the first time I spoke to her, like,
I can't say too much. I'm married too,
Yeah.
so I found one too.
I don't know how they fell for either one of us. But when you're in the military, if you ever been in the military, your last name is all that's on your uniform. So mine was Naquin, obviously, but hers was Dittmar. Dittmar. And I remember the first day I said, like, hey, what's up, Dittmar? Dude, if you could have saw the look she gave me, like, who are you and why are you even talking to me? Like, it was...
How dare you even look in my direction?
I didn't talk to her for a long time. But
it must have been a good look.
Yes, no doubt. Have you ever seen my wife give someone that look? She's got it's like laser beam sometimes, but it worked out.
That's a look only women get. Can only have the power to give. Let me say that.
Yeah.
They're like, that look? It's like, well.
Because I can try to give that look back, and she laughs at me. Like, she's not scared of it. Like, I don't.
Rookie.
Yeah. Like, she can give me that look, and I like quiver, like shake in fear. But I give her that look, and she's just like, boy, better move on. And so I love that story.
Like, if you do that again, you're going to go to the kitchen, get my rolling pin, and bring it to me so I can hit you with it, and then take it back in there.
Yeah. So I just love that, thinking about it. Helps me to remember that, how God perfectly ordained all those things to take place and happen. And then right when we moved here, I mean, we're thinking we're going to move here, and her brother's going to be here, and we're going to kind of like learn about this area together because he's been here for like a year or two. He got injured and got discharged out of the Army, went back home like no time after we moved here. So then we're like, okay, here we are. What do we do? And a couple years later, we ended up here at Mount Zion, and here we are serving. So it's just a cool God thing, and it helps me when I talk to people that are going through, like, we don't know why we're here and we don't know what to do, and I just try to motivate them and encourage them to just keep trusting God, keep going forward. Even on the days when you wake up and have no idea, like, what the next move is, keep moving. Like, just keep going, because you're going to look back at some time and have this random story about how God worked and moved. And I think we all have
21 years ago, we had no idea.
None.
So,
like, if you would have asked me 21 years ago, or if you would have not asked me, if you would have came and told me from the future and said, in 21 years, you're going to be the pastor of a Southern Baptist church in Clayton County, I would have just like laughed at you, literally, because it was like my life was nowhere pointing towards being a pastor. Like, it was like I may see a pastor at my funeral because that's the path I'm on, but it's just it's fun to think about, and and really motivating to think about, I guess, as the new year starts and you try to, well, for me, you said, did I make a New Year resolution? No, but I did. I'm trying to make like a heart, mind outlook resolution. Just I have too many good things going on in my life to dwell on the couple of things that I see as negative.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say it that way. My brother recently has been posting on Facebook about men and how feminine they are now, in today's world, how we're not the manly men that, you may be, because you're kind of that manly man, but there's a lot of people that aren't, and I think that I sometimes fall victim to go in that direction, and I'm like, just man up. I think his joking and picking on whoever he's picking on Facebook has inadvertently impacted me.
That's a good way to look at it.
Because I don't think he's talking to me. I mean, we don't talk enough for him to know that that's the way I think or the way I do think in certain situations. But it's just
one thing I think about, just to add to that, is 20 years ago, since we're on the 20-year mark going backwards, if you're riding down the road or in a store or something and people are up there in front of you, you can tell by the way what clothes they're wearing who's the girl and who's a boy.
Okay.
Like pants or something like that. If you're looking at the pants, yeah, that's a girl right there. You can just tell. Now, you can't tell.
Yeah.
I was like, why does a guy want to walk around with girl pants on?
Yeah.
So it's skinny jeans. It's like, what happened to your legs? I mean, guys are supposed to have some thighs.
Yeah.
It's like, where'd your legs go?
Yeah. It's an interesting
and
time.
Even with that being said, we would go to buy pants for Levi, like blue jean pants. Skinny. It's like, where's the pants?
Where's the boot cut?
Yeah. It's like, what's wrong with you people?
Yeah, you say you people, but I think the last time I went shopping, I was looking for the athletic fit jeans, and those aren't skinny jeans, but they're not the manly Levi's that you're talking about. I get it though. So just a whole generation of kids and people coming up. I'm part of the older age of this generation, but it's just a time where men got to be men, and not in the overpowering like I'm the man, listen to what I say type of man leadership thing, but just in conversations I've had this week with other people and in my own life in general, I see ways where I can lead my family, where I can lead myself better, and coming from a place of negativity and because you don't, I guess I don't think about it as much, but your kids and your wife, your attitude and the way you delegate and handle things, it influences them. They may not show it right on the surface, but it definitely has an impact on them. And I don't want their thought or their impact of what I give them to be like coming from a negative aspect. God is too good to us. We have too much, and not even material things. I'm talking, we just have too much joy. I have too much peace. I have too much just knowing that my life is okay. If without this job or without my house or without a car or without whatever, I'm still okay. I've got friends around me. I've got people around me. I've got people that I've invested in that would invest in me if I needed them to. And so I got too many good things going on to even think about that stuff. And so trying to get there this year, especially leading a church, leading a body of people, coming from a place of positivity and to try to make it not come from a place of fake positivity. You know what I mean? Because I can tell.
Put on the paper smile.
Right. I can tell when someone's being fake to me, and I don't ever want to be the person that I'm coming across fake to you. I want it to always be very real. And so we're always working on stuff, right? Like we never.
Going back to our conversation we had with one of the men a few weeks ago, maybe months ago now, I can't remember.
Yeah.
It's like, if you're going to do it, just be honest up front. Say, these are my weaknesses and these are my strong points. Because when you decide to step out and say, God, use me, he's going to use you, and all of a sudden you got a target on your back.
Yeah.
And if you, for some reason, if it works out to where you begin to acquire some fame or public notoriety, they're going to go back and find it.
Oh, yeah.
Just tell them up front. This is what I did, the drinking, drugs, rock and roll, the sex, all that stuff. Just tell them, hey, yeah, I did it.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're going to find out.
They're going to find out. And like you say, if you just admit it from the get-go, it shows humility on your part. Because okay, I know you're going to find this out about me. I said this in a roundabout way on Sunday. Me and God had this moment last week when I was preparing for my sermon where I just was verbally praying to him and just saying, God, how do you keep using me? Like, this is me. I do this. I think this way. Sometimes I feel this way. All these things, but you continue to use me, use me. And
why do you want to keep using dirt bags?
Yeah.
I have that conversation too.
and God's faithful. The sermon was on a loving God. Like, no matter what, he loves you. What he's looking for us is a repentant heart. And the scripture that I had used was Luke chapter 15, the parable of the lost sheep, where he said, if you have 100 sheep and 99 are good, but one of them wanders off, wouldn't it be more important to not worry about those 99 and go chase down that one? And my point in my sermon was, at one point I was the one. You know, at one point you all were the one. And God stopped everything he was doing, and he chased you down, and he rescued you from whatever you needed to be rescued from. And so now, why would you be sad? Why would you be negative? Why would you look doom and gloom? What you should do is look onto it with, I'm thankful. I have a thankful heart. I have my life is just overflowing with blessings. And so just trying to come from that mindset.
And that sounds like all the prophets and the apostles.
Yeah.
Look, he took the worst apostle and made him the greatest. And he was an afterthought to us. I mean, it was all in the plan, the master plan. But he would, I guess, if you had to put a number on it, he would be number 12 or 13. And Paul even said he was a murderer. He was a murderer. He murdered these Christians, and God used him.
This is a random question. Is there a number on how many murders he committed? Like, have you ever read anything that people just speculated or anything? Because he did. Like, he murdered people physically, pulled them out of their house, killed them.
Yeah.
I would love to know a number.
He's been given credit for inciting the riot to kill Stephen. It doesn't actually say he threw any stones, but he was the instigator. So usually, if you're in charge, everything's your fault.
Well, that's a true statement too. Got to have broad shoulders to be the leader, and you know that as
and then it even said Saul approved of them killing him. Yeah, y'all did a good job. All right, let's go find some more.
Let's move on.
It's like you just murdered. Regardless if you like them or not, you just took somebody's life.
And we've even talked about in here that I've never physically taken anyone's life. That's one of the only sins I've never committed. But Scripture says that even if you think it in your mind,
you've already done it.
So in that regard, I'm a murderer. Cause
I am a murderer, thinking person.
Man, someone cut me off yesterday in traffic.
Oh, poor guy.
It wasn't even on the highway. It was just like on a regular little road, and I was just like, if you could be gone, I would take you out.
Where's my bag of lightning bolts? Because I'm about to sling one right through your window.
Beam him up, Scotty. Get him out of here.
Yeah, I mean, Jesus, he set the bar way high.
Man.
And he set it so high that no human can achieve it without him.
Yeah.
So we have to have him to achieve that. And they're like, well, why would he do that? That's not fair. It's not the point of he didn't want to make it fair where you have to go to him to achieve anything. He wants you to depend on him to achieve anything. Not to be a tyrant. He wants you to do it because he knows what life is because he made it. So he knows what you need. So if we go to him, we'll have what he has. It's like, well, that's not fair. He didn't say it was fair. He said, I come to divide, not to bring together.
That's a harsh word that people don't preach a lot. No. That Jesus did say that.
Yeah. He said, I come to divide, not bring together.
Yeah. because I mean I think Jesus sometimes gets sold short and he gets preached and taught as this and he gets preached and taught as this
loving guy holding the little lamb.
Yeah,
It's
going
like,
his shoulders.
yeah, it's like go back and read the stories in Genesis.
Yeah.
Yeah, picture the flood. Oh, it was so great, was it?
Yeah.
He wiped out everything.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he loves us.
Mm-hmm. I was
Joshua, read the book of Joshua.
Yeah, I love that study.
Yeah, he was a murdering dude.
Yeah, he would take him out.
Well, I guess murder would be taking life without cause. He was told to go and do that.
Yeah,
David was told to go and do that.
Killing dude.
Yeah, he was on a mission.
Yeah, no doubt.
And he wouldn't even let David build the temple. He said, "Why can't I build it? Because you got blood on your hands. But you told me to go do it." Yeah, and you did a good job. But you're still not building the temple. Yeah. You got blood on your hands.
Yeah. And that's what's a lot of the times for me, that is when I'm talking to people and you try to tell them that Jesus is the way. Like, it doesn't matter what the situation, the answer is always Jesus is the way. And then it's like, okay, well, how do I apply that? Like, how do I really live that Jesus is the way in my life? And I was trying to get to it on Sunday, and I don't know if I ever made it there or people got the point I was trying to make, but until we get to the point where we see everyone around us as created in the image of God, because no matter what kind of scoundrel you are, no matter what direction life has taken you, no matter who you are or what you are created in the image of God. And regardless
if you like it or not.
Yeah, accept it or not, you're created in His image. And when I start viewing the world around me as creations of the Creator, then my mentality, the way I see them, changes, and vice versa. When they start seeing me as something God created, and then my flaws are accepted, then they understand that it's not about me. It's, of course, He's going to make mistakes, and just because He's the pastor, we can't put Him up on a pedestal. He's just a person like I am, just trying to be obedient with life. And man, that's where the rubber meets the road, and you can really live out the Jesus stuff. And it seems simple, but it gets really, really hard at times. Like it gets super hard.
Levi said, "Dad, what's wrong?" I was like, somebody just made a bad choice on the road, son.
I like that. Someone made a bad choice.
What happened? I say, just made an unwise choice.
Yeah. I was listening
Cut me off.
I'm preparing for Colossians, because the next sermon series I want to walk us through is going to be on the book of Colossians, and being transformed through the power of Christ. Basically, that's what the gist of it is. So I was watching some Charles Stanley stuff earlier, just because the man was very smart, can bring
brilliant.
Can take God's word and break it down in a so simplistic way that my simple mind can understand it. But he was breaking it down today in, I think, Colossians 3, 24 and 25, and he was just talking about we all have this choice. Like God gives you a choice, and if you want to live your most, is this the right way to say it, your most blessed life, like if you want to live life to the fullest, then you have a choice. Like you can either do it God's way or you can't. And if you choose not to, then don't come questioning God and how can a good God live.
Why are you doing this? It's like, you're not even following me.
Yeah. Hit
the road.
Yeah. And so it was a good sermon to listen to today. I got about halfway through it and had some other stuff to do. But, that's the direction I want us to go. My whole thought process, and as I prayed at the end of that's new for me too, like having to think about where do we go next? Okay, God, where? Because it's easy to just say, let's just talk about this and just start talking about it. But when you're thinking a whole group of people focused on one thing, a church body wants to reach the community, wants to serve our community, what do we need to change? Like, what do we need to grow in? And so as I met with staff and we planned for 2022, the same thing kept coming up. Like, we can talk about serving our community. We can talk about strengthening our families. We can talk about doing all these things. But until my heart changes, I can't impact my family. I can't impact the men that I hang around with. I can't impact the sports teams I go and talk to or the school I get to speak at, if I'm still the messed up person. God's not going to bless that. And so I got to get me right so that I can experience God's blessings and let people see Him through me. And so I wanted to go create in me a pure heart. That's our focus for 2022.
Search me and know me.
Exactly. It's the whole David, Bathsheba, I messed up. God, I know I messed up, and you redeemed me. God, I know that you know everything about me, and you still use me. So create in me a pure heart, because I want
David. Yeah, he was a murderer too.
Dude, David was a raunchy dude. I mean, he was a lot of stuff. Yeah, murderer,
And I was
adulterer.
talking to a guy today, a friend. Was talking about. It's like, hey, they still live. I was like, no. I said they had to go. I said, because you can only act so long before the real you comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Said you can do a good show, but eventually you will come out.
Mm-hmm. And that's what happens. You can put on the Sunday's face, even the
Your
Sunday
Sunday's
dress.
best.
Sunday's best, all that good stuff. But when people when people interact with you throughout the week and just in your everyday life, your real self is going to come out, and they're going to know who you are and how you do things. You can't fake it constantly.
And the best time to catch somebody as who they really are is when they're mad and pissed off at the world.
Oh, no doubt.
It's like, well, where'd that come from?
Hey, I said something the
It's
other
like
night.
That's probably not you all the time, but that's who you are in your heart. Because depending on what comes out, how you react to a situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because if everything's happy, it's like, everything's happy, joyful, and all this good stuff. It's like, man, dude, just cut me off.
I said something the other night, and my wife looked at me and was like, I hope that phone is not recording you right now. So, yeah, no, that's true. I was trying to find that scripture that, this is the one that Charles Stanley was talking about earlier.
Where
it was
we at?
Colossians 3, and it was 23 through 25. And he was said, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord, not for human masters. Since you know that you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward, it is the Lord Christ you are serving. Anyone who does wrong will be repaid for their wrongs, and there is no favoritism. So it's like God doesn't show favoritism. I think the scripture, the translation he was reading said God doesn't show any partiality. Like God doesn't, he's not breaking it down like that. If the one you're serving is Christ, and everything you do, work as though you're serving him, God will bless that. And you have a choice. Like you choose who you're serving today. And so today, if my task is to clean restrooms because we don't have someone to clean it, then today I'm cleaning this restroom for Christ. If it's cut grass when no one on your team shows up and you're the only couple guys here, then you do it because I'm not working for the church.
Well, it'll get done. It might take a little
Jesus.
longer, but we'll get it done.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I'm trying to go into
And I think Peter goes along with that too when Cornelius received the Holy Spirit in his household. He said, now I truly see that God does not show favoritism.
Yeah. And so it's all about our understanding of how good God is and just where we could be without him and where we are because of him, and accepting that, and just, really just rolling forward with excitement for the future, with looking to the positive things, with looking to, because I felt when I was writing my sermon last week that I was being a little negative. I don't know why, but I was just writing some things and it just felt like, okay, this is coming out as real negative. And so then the next paragraph went to speaking to the young people in the room. Because I'm like, I want y'all to be excited. I know all that just sounded really negative, but God really is good. And you can be excited about the future, because all the stuff I was just talking about was about decisions that people made or choices they made or actions they did that weren't honoring God. And so right now at your young age, understand it. Like, know right now that you can begin to live that life that is honoring to God and pleasing to God, and then you can move into the future with joy and excitement and hope and knowing. Because if you start thinking about COVID and the racial divides and the politics that are in this world and all this stuff, you can go down a dark road pretty quick.
And the way I see that, that's what they're doing,
Yeah,
not what I'm doing.
exactly. That's exactly.
So what are we going to do? It's like, well, you're the one causing it all, or you're the one that fell in line with them. Get out of the line. Come over here and hang out with us for a while.
Yeah.
What's wrong with y'all? Well, probably a lot, but we have the Bible.
And so that's where I'm at. It was a long conversation about how did your break go, and what are you planning for 2022? But it's just where I've been lately. It's been a long 3 weeks. Obviously, got a lot to say.
But you never have nothing to say.
Yeah, I know.
You didn't even say that this time.
I didn't.
Turn over a new leaf.
I knew I had a lot to say. I was encouraged, though, that this line out back here for the COVID drive-through testing site last week had about 200 cars in line. Today had about 20. Mm-hmm. So that's a good thing. Like, get out of here, COVID. I think what really was rocking me last week was I felt like I had walked into a time warp, and COVID was the hot topic again, and it was all over the news. It was at the forefront of every conversation, and I was like, man, I feel like this is 2 years ago.
You know how to solve that?
Don't watch the news.
Don't watch the news.
I don't watch the news. I listen to a podcast, and I guess that's what. But I did hear one of the main podcasts I listened to yesterday. He was like, I'm going to try to go all of 2022 and never say the word COVID. He's like, I'm going to try to keep going.
Messed it up. You just said it.
Well, not me, him. Yeah, you're right. He said it right then. So the last time we got together, we had Morgan joining us. That was awesome. Mm-hmm. She did a really good job.
Was it been 3 weeks?
That was the week before Christmas, and here we are 2 weeks after Christmas. So, yeah.
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
I've missed being here.
That you missed it. Yeah.
I missed being here. Here.
Could you tell a difference?
Oh, yeah. Oh, the first week. Noticed the language starting to slip a little bit.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa. I could tell. But I still listen to my phone every night.
Uh-huh.
And, I would pick up the Bible and read from time to time, started studying my new book.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not enough. You have to be interactive. Hebrews even says meet together.
Mm-hmm.
So there was, we all started slipping. I could tell the difference, just me. I was like, oh.
Yeah, we had a lot of downtime. We had the Christmas Eve service, and then we didn't have church for 9 days. Like, we were not together. You and I didn't do this, and so I could feel how easy
slipping back into the world.
I could feel how easy it is just to slide back in, like, and God is out of sight and out of mind, and you're like, just living this life. There was a couple of rough days, I think, there during the.
I was gonna come Sunday to service, but I guess being that Levi had the sniffles or the cold,
just to be careful.
I didn't want to take a chance.
Yeah, and I could see a couple of days during that whole break where they were kind of just like mentally, emotionally not good. It's because I was away from the fellowship. I was studying because I had to keep getting up and talking in front of people, which is so hard. But it's the call, so I'll answer the call. And if people keep listening, I'll keep talking. I joke every week, and people say, well, how's the sermon going? I'm like, well, no one got up and walked out, so I guess that was
Mike wasn't there, so nobody got up and left.
A couple of people were dozing off. That's how I know when it's time to wrap it up, when people's eyes start getting real heavy. I'm like, okay, either be loud, talk faster and louder, or wrap it up, because people are going to sleep. So the last time Morgan was here, we talked about spiritual blindness. Still rocking through the book of John. We're almost halfway through it.
Well, we in Reclaimed, we wrapped it up before Christmas.
Yeah.
So
you guys were moving.
I mean, that worked out great the way that we wrapped up the end of John right when the Christmas was coming in. Thought that was pretty good.
And then, but you were out a couple of weeks just with family stuff, and so.
Yeah, we were out. We were out the last 2 weeks, I guess.
Camping, fishing, what was going on?
Didn't get to fish as much as I wanted to. The week of Christmas, me and Rick, my father-in-law, we went out to West Point Lake the entire day. It was a great day. We hadn't fished together in just years. It's probably 5 or 6 years since we even been on the boat together. So that was a great day. It was just me and him. And then when we got out that evening, I had food, so we ate right there in the parking lot. Cold.
Yeah, I bet.
We said cold and then other words to go with it, but it was cold.
Yeah.
I mean, it was brutal. Thankfully, I'd found some hot hands in the boat.
Oh, yeah.
We had.
Things are lifesavers.
So we put some in our gloves. Well, we caught some fish. And then was going to go out a couple more times because that Thursday we were leaving to go to Bryson City, North Carolina, for Christmas. Well, it didn't pan out that way. I don't even remember what happened, but didn't get to go back out. We went up to Bryson City.
Now, where's Bryson City?
It's right outside of Cherokee.
Okay.
Literally, if Cherokee, North Carolina, Bryson City's just right next door. And we rented us a house, and it was right on the river. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce the name of the river.
Okay.
Because there's no way I could be able to say it. But I did take my kayak, and Thursday we got there, hung out, just unpacked. Or Wednesday, I can't remember now. And the next day, went ahead and bought fishing license. Just bought a 5-day. Because there, I'm not sure what the deal is. We weren't actually on the reservation, because Cherokee is the reservation, the Indian reservation. But maybe it's got something to do with the waters there. I had to buy a tribal fishing permit. It's no more than any other fishing license. So went online, got that, put the kayak in, and there was 2 things about that river that I'd never dealt with together. One, the day I went out, it must have been Christmas Eve, I went out, and it was cold. I mean, I think when the sun finally come up and I finally got dressed to go, not put clothes on, but get dressed to go in the river, I think it was 35 degrees.
Yeah, that's cold.
It's cold.
In water.
And this is mountain water. So mountain water is already cold. So I had a base layer on, which is basically like thermal underwear, pants, and I put my waders on, and I had this sweatshirt on. And then I had my hat on, and I had gloves on. And went out, and I was ready. The second thing that fought against me, that water was crystal clear. I mean, there was probably some parts of the river that it was 15 feet deep, and I could see the bottom.
Wow.
I mean, it was crystal gem clear.
Wow.
So I looked on the map. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to put in here because we had a dock. And it was a little tricky getting in because there was no just walking in the water. Where the dock was, it was probably 10 feet deep. So I put it in, and there was a ladder on the end of the dock, and I pulled the kayak around, and I got on the ladder, got in there, and went up, and it would be 6 feet deep, and it'd be where I'd have to get out and pull the boat.
On the bottom.
Yep. So I'm glad I took my waders. It went up, and by the time I got to the spot, because I went upstream so I could just float back down and fish. By the time I went up, it's probably 45 minutes or so, because I'd be paddling, and then I'd have to get out and pull the kayak and get in it, paddle some more. And then there'd be some little current spots.
No, the water is crystal clear this whole time?
Crystal clear.
That's amazing.
Crystal clear. And I would be paddling against the current. Finally, I got this one part. It was just these 2 gigantic boulders on both sides. And it was a deep pool where that water would come through. And it was so deep, the bottom, you couldn't see the bottom. So it was deep. And by the time I got there, I was like, all right, I'm just going to hang out here. I got my fishing pole out, and it had ice on it.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't frozen, but it had a little bit of ice on it where I was paddling, and the water would come up and hit on the pole. And I fished, and I fished, and I fished, and I fished, and I didn't even get a bite.
Even the fish said it was too cold.
Nothing. Saw one fish. The fish I saw,
crystal clear.
He was dead.
Oh, wow.
He looked like a sucker fish. And Haley actually went on the dock. I mean, you could cast 50 yards out, and you could watch the bait come all the way back to you. It was gem clear. And so I literally went out one day in the kayak. So, but it was the water itself, just to see, I mean, it was awesome.
Yeah, I've only seen crystal clear water like that once in my life. When we went on a mission trip to Canada, we were we went to Niagara Falls, but we went to Canada one day, and the one day we were across the border in Canada, we went to one of the Great Lakes, whatever one's right there, and it's just like you said, the water was like about 15 or 20 foot deep, and you could just see straight down. I mean, everything, the fish swimming by, the rocks, it was amazing. Like, it was just really cool to see. So I've only seen that one time. Murky water everywhere I grew up.
Yeah. I was like, man, I can't wait to get back home so I can do some fishing. But the water was gem clear.
Yeah.
I mean, it was. So I had Dad fighting against me. So, because I'd never been in super, super cold water and crystal clear
Crystal
like
clear
that.
water, yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys did Christmas in North Carolina.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, New Year's Eve, I believe it was, we went into, I guess you would call it downtown Bryson City. Because Haley found this train ride called the Polar Express.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that.
And it was mainly for Levi, well, her and Levi. I went as support.
Hey, absolutely.
But they did a really, really good job. And we got one of the last rides, and it was a great show. We got there early just to kind of walk around the little town. I mean, it was literally like Mayberry. And there was a department store there, and they actually put Herpensheimer's on the store.
Yeah, that's hilarious. So on the train, did they do the whole snacks, hot chocolate, all that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, we got cups. They gave out the bells. Santa come through there. Well, we actually rode. I think the next time, if we do that one again, I'd want to go during the day because you're on a train, so you can't really see where you're at.
Yeah.
But at night, you can see all the Christmas lights. And we come into a little town. It's supposed to be the North Pole, and Santa was out there and the elves. And we rode that way so far, and then they just reversed the engine, and we went right back. And they read the Polar Express book, the original book.
Okay.
And I thought it was a long book.
It's
but
not.
From the book to the movie is completely different. If I had to guess, it probably got like 15 pages. It's a really, really short book. I was like, man, them people in
the Polar Express is one of my daughter's. Well, when she was little, one of her favorite movies. And when that part would come on with the hot chocolate and the dancing and all, dude, we would have to reenact that. Like she would be the people going around passing out the hot chocolate. She would take the hot chocolate and hide it under the seat like they do in the movie.
Yeah.
And we would have to do when they're asking for the ticket, I would have to act like I was the conductor.
Yeah. And Levi got a gold ticket.
Oh, that's amazing.
And a guy come by and he just punched it, but he, about 15.
That's super cool.
Got that. He got, the hot chocolate. He got a giant cookie. They were in their pajamas, and they would be doing songs, and everybody'd be up dancing. And I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Man, it's getting hot in here.
Well, that sounds like fun. I know Levi loved it. It was probably a magical world for him.
He did. We took the GoPro. We hadn't done nothing with it yet, but
nice.
It was awesome. It was cool. I think he really enjoyed it. And then Christmas, we just woke up there, and of course
Santa found y'all where y'all were at.
Yeah, he found us. Haley, of course, decorated outside of the house, and she took a Christmas tree with us, and that was great. And then Mom and stepdad come up because they didn't live that far from where we were.
That's good. Sounds like you guys had an amazing time. Yeah.
And then last week, I couldn't go fish because it rained the entire week.
Yeah.
We started getting cabin fever. It's like, I was like, man, I'm going out to fish. And then it'd be like 25 degrees, and it's raining. And the wind blowing 30 miles an hour. I was like,
yeah.
What
was it meant to be? God wanted you to go inside. And
so I literally fished,
still.
I think, maybe 3 times over the past 2.5 weeks.
Yeah. Well, family time was what it was all about, right? Y'all rocked that.
Now that last week, it was like, why don't you go to the store or something?
You don't have anything to do.
You can't go outside because it's raining, and it's like, oh golly.
Speaking of Levi, there he is at the door checking on us. We must be running late. Oh, we got 10 more minutes, so
Okay.
it's all good.
It was great.
Yeah.
It's a long 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I took the 2 weeks, but now we're just trying to get back into
the groove. Yeah, we came back.
Yeah.
We were off both of those weeks as well, other than the Christmas Eve service and just staying in touch with people. But I was basically off. Me and my kids. My wife, God bless her soul, she works at a nursing home, so she's never off.
Mm-hmm.
Those senior adults always need care, and so she's always there. But we were off, and we were the same way. We're looking around at each other like, don't you have something to do?
Mm-hmm.
Like, go do something.
Can't go play golf.
No.
Because the ground's saturated.
Soaking. When you and I were supposed to go.
Yeah.
It was soaking wet. I'm supposed to go Friday with some guys from right around here, and it's supposed to be, I think, a high of 42.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think we're going.
Yeah. Oh, and then our water heater went out. That's why that's that one
That's what
Wednesday I
happened.
couldn't come.
That's right. Yeah.
Because that little space there in the laundry room was the last little bit of floor to finish.
Yeah. God wanted you to finish that.
Yeah,
so.
and the water heater had started to leak, but I had it in a pan this time from actually 10 years ago when I changed it.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, I said, pan's got a little water in it. So it's going.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was just going to do the floor just right up to the washer and dryer, let it ride. And then I was like, if I get it, because I got to take the washer and dryer out
Might as well
to
do it
get
all.
the water heater out. I was like,
Of course.
all right, well, let's get it done.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was an 11-hour day,
Mm-hmm.
but it's all done.
It was all done. Yeah, Haley texted me and said, yeah, Mike cannot do the podcast tonight. We got a water issue.
Yeah. I mean, it needed to be done, and I just sometimes I have
good
to
thing
be
you know how to do
pushed.
it. Yeah, but at least you know how to do it and have to call a plumber and
Mhm.
all those kind of things. So,
But it's just things that had to be done. Sometimes I got to be.
it's just like
Coaxed.
you told me 21 years ago, I never saw myself in that position. I guarantee you, 21 years ago, you never saw yourself on a train doing the Polar Express hot chocolate song.
If there was a train envisioned from me, then I would probably be standing in front of it.
Wow.
I mean, if
That's
we're
a
being
dark
honest,
turn. That's
it's-
a dark turn, yeah.
The only train that we ever rode on was, Stone Mountain train. But
Yeah, I've never been on that.
it was different for Haley, because I'd been on it a few times, but it was,
Yeah.
now if you were to look through
Don't
the
look
door,
at the other cars, yeah.
yeah, because the doors were literally like this.
I've
But-
only been on one train. It was the one you can go somewhere down South Georgia,
Mhm.
and it takes you to like some peanut place in South Georgia.
Mhm.
There was a president that was from there. I can't think of the name, but
That sounds like a Warm Spring. Is it Warm Springs?
you go down and you get off in
Something.
a couple of different places. One of them is where some president was from that was from Georgia, and you get back on and you go to another little place and you get off and they got like you can go to the old stores and stuff like that. That's the only train. But you're right. When you look at the other cars,
in the
Dude.
windows are doing this.
you're like, our car's doing that? Oh my goodness! And especially Haley, and it's like me. We get motion sick easily. Like if we can't see that.
It's like,
kind of
look
stuff.
at it in during the ride. There's bathrooms on it. So me and Levi got up and I almost fell on people. I was like, oh, I don't got my sea legs.
Yeah. So
But they did great. They had a little town decorated, and
yeah.
I'd recommend it. It's Bryson City.
Absolutely.
North Carolina.
Sounds good. We're getting to that. Well, you did it with a young child, which I'm impressed with. They're taking Christmas on the road. I think we're getting to the part in our life where our kids are getting older, and Christmas, it just took it was different this year. A 13-year-old and a 17-year-old is different than with Levi 5. So
Mhm.
Christmas just looks different, and it's just different. And so I think we may be getting to that place where like going on a trip or going somewhere for Christmas would be kind of a cool idea just to mix it up. We go all out for Christmas. I mean, we do inside of the house, outside lights, everything. I love Christmas. It's just a fun time. It's always been a good time in my life. Even before I knew Jesus, my mom made Christmas like super awesome time.
Mhm.
And so now that I'm a Christian and especially in this role, Christmas is just it's just a special time for the birth of Jesus, for the way people's demeanors just completely change and you can be around certain people that you couldn't be around in other times, and everyone is kind. And it's just like you look around and go, we could be like this all the time. Like the world could be like this merry all the time. But that's why I love the Christmas holidays. New Year's now, I'm not a late guy.
Complete opposite of New Year or Christmas.
I could care less about staying up till midnight. My daughter went to a little party with her friends, and so we had to go pick her up because she doesn't drive yet. And so we're picking her up at like 12:30 at night, meeting up with her friend's father at like 12:45 in the morning.
Sounds like a war zone in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
One of our neighbors, I mean literally a neighbor, shot off an assault rifle. And it sounded like somebody was beating on my garage door.
It was just vibrating.
I mean, it literally sounded like they were right outside my window, and they shot that assault rifle off.
Yeah. Have you seen those?
I was like, wow. And I was like, I'm going to go out. I said, no, I'm going out there. I was like, no, if they're shooting that off, I'm not going out there.
You know those circular reams of like just firecrackers?
Yeah.
And they roll them up? Someone in our neighborhood.
Like 5,000
Yeah, I was going to say
firecrackers.
like 20,000. And it was just constantly over and over. Like, okay, I thought after like a minute or two, okay, it's about to stop. Man, 5 or 6 minutes, it's still just going.
Popping.
Man, it was loud.
Something I was curious about, I never actually researched it, but when the angels proclaimed to the shepherds that the Messiah was born, it said, peace on earth this night. I was curious if the entire earth that one night was at rest from everything. War and just men fighting men. I said, the peace on earth.
If they felt like this supernatural, like just...
Yeah, even over in if China was there at the time, whatever America was at that time, if the entire earth that one night, even for 10 or 12 hours, was just completely at silence.
Yeah, because it does also say, like, at Jesus' death, like, the complete earth it went black, like when he died too. So that's like a whole... Yeah, that's an interesting thought. What did they experience? Because it had to spread far for Herod and them to get the word. I mean, they got the word.
Because it said Herod was disturbed and all of Jerusalem with him. It's like, uh-oh.
So they all felt
it's like
something.
Kind of like that solar eclipse or partial solar eclipse we had last year sometime. That was eerie. Because it was like, it's almost like when it first snows here, it's completely silent, but it's just kind of, all right, any minute now the world's going to explode.
It was like, if you remember when we had the first 14 days of shutdown, I remember us being out on our patio in our little carport area, just being outside because we've been in the house all week, and it was just so quiet. Like you couldn't hear, I mean, it's just nothing. So
no cars, no planes, no gunshots or sirens or anything.
Had to be. And that's kind of, I guess, like an illustration of the peace that we can have. We say the answers to all our problems in life, Jesus, it's that peaceful feeling that he gives you. Yeah, things may be chaotic and things are out of control, and we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We don't know what's going to happen when we walk out of these doors. But there's like this unexplainable peace that you and I have and others, but you and I are the two talking, that we just have, that we carry with us everywhere we go, where, okay, things are out of control. It's not, I mean, okay. God knows
water heater's leaking. Okay.
Yeah. And so I'm trying to get there, honestly. Like that would cause a little frustration in my life, and I would have to...
We cleaned the garage out last week to have something to do. It's like, man, this garage has got to get clean. Because we got all them stray cats, and it started stinking real bad. So we cleaned the garage out, and we spent all day doing that. When that night, the door was down, and we're in the kitchen, we're eating or something. All of a sudden, we heard something just boom out in the garage. It's like, what was that? So I'm looking through the door. It's like, I thought the cats may have knocked something down. And now I happen to look up, and one of the springs on the garage door just busted.
Yeah.
A buddy that we went to high school together and party a lot, he works on garage doors, so he come over today and he fixed it all up.
It's funny. The friend that you and I were talking about when we first came in here, that was where he's trying to collect on his debts. Same thing happened to him. he said they heard this loud noise and they just thought, oh, somebody just shot a gun in the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Something just happened. They tried to come to church the next day, couldn't get out of their garage.
Mm-hmm.
The spring had broken. They were like, it was wedged in there. Yeah.
I tried to repair it, and I thought I had it done, and it come up, and it went to go down, and I'd put a piece of PVC pipe up next to the side of the door from cleaning up earlier, and when the door went up, the pipe kind of fell down in the track. And when the door come down, it hit that door, and the door started going sideways, and rollers started popping out.
Yeah.
The cable, I was like, oh, I'm out.
I got to call somebody.
I said, this is beyond me. I'm done. But he come over today, and literally, I mean, he's been doing it for years.
Yeah.
He fixed it. He found the part. He got it fixed up. He found something else wrong, took care of it. And
It's good to know people.
yeah, I was like, hey, rock on. I said, there's some things I'm out.
Yeah.
Can't handle.
So we'll get into John chapter 10 next week.
We just talking about life.
Yeah. It was a good conversation. I loved it. And so I think that it's good just to catch back up, just where we are in life. This is going to be, maybe it's a good reason that we didn't get into it, because I was going to label this one Season 2, Episode 1, because, so maybe Season 2, Episode 1 is just like the intro to where we're going. And so all good. So appreciate you, sir. Sounds like you guys had an amazing holiday season, even though you didn't get to catch any fish and do all that. You're braver than I, going into 30-degree weather and 25-degree water and all that.
I'm surprised there wasn't ice cubes floating down that river, man.
So Mike has created some really awesome postcards for the podcast, so hopefully we can begin to pass those out and get our viewership and our subscriptions up. We don't do it for that, but we always think that the more people that can hear it does help.
It does help.
And the more people that can hear the good word, hear the truth of the scripture, and just see two guys that really don't have any answers, but we have the one answer that we're trying to figure out. I hope it's an encouragement to all of you guys. So like, subscribe, share with your friends. If you would like some of the postcards to pass out in your circle of friends, all you got, just call me, reach out. My phone number is all over mzbc.org. You can email me.
Just make sure to call it or textable.
Well, the thing
make
is,
sure it's textable. Can you text this?
Yeah,
I forgot this.
The time you gave me says, before call, ask yourself, is this textable? So if you're requesting postcards, that's textable. So just text me and say, hey, send me about 20, and I would love to do that. So appreciate you guys. Like and subscribe. We'll talk to you guys next time. Thanks.
See ya.